Since we first drove off the ferry in Picton 5 months ago, we've been able to see a lot of New Zealand's South Island. It really doesn't look that big on a map, but as you make your way up and down the coastlines and weave through the Southern Alps, I found myself thinking, wow, it's a lot bigger than I expected, so much to see, and the amount of pretty mind-blowing attractions right on the side of the road is something special. That's what this video is all about. Big Lord of the Rings moment for me, outside of Hobbiton, was actually at a location that wasn't even featured in the films. It's Castle Hill. It's a pretty noticeable spot when you're driving by on the highway. Pull over, big parking lot, washrooms. There's a pathway that leads to these giant limestone rocks that have been slowly shooting out of the ground for the last however many millions of years. Extremely eye-opening. There was infographics, there was a lot of Maori history. I had no idea that at one time there were these giant eagles that roamed New Zealand and they hunted moa. This massive flightless bird that the Maori also hunted at that time. It was the largest bird of prey in the whole world. A lot of good stuff there. Partly cloudy, a little bit of rain coming in, the clouds separating, and just the light shining through from the clouds. Ooh, it just made for spectacular photos. Time lapses, it's great. Kaikoura is a really amazing place, and it probably deserves its own spot on this list or a video like this, but I'm gonna shout out specifically the seal colony there. For me at that time, I had not witnessed a whole lot of natural marine life, so the seal colony was pretty eye-opening. We started on this walking path that kind of took us up above the hill, so you got an unbelievable view of the Kaikoura Range. Pacific Ocean on the other side, all these waves crashing in, and you just kind of look down and think to yourself, are all of those shadows, or are those actually fur seals? There's no way. There's hundreds of them. Then you get down to the water and you start looking around, and yeah, there are hundreds of them. It was so cool to see that many fur seals all in one spot. You have to follow the signs, keep your distance, don't go between a seal and its pathway to the water. But sometimes you really just, you can't, because they're sleeping right in the middle of the pathway. So you have to get up a little close to go around. And really just because of that, you end up getting extremely close to these adorable sea dogs. East Coast between Christchurch and Dunedin, you'll find a lot of beaches, some really good lookout points, lighthouses, but the Moeraki Boulders have got to be one of the coolest things in that area. Popular for a reason. When you get up close and you see the shapes with your own eyes, the texture, the surroundings, it's just an amazing natural wonder that's been going on for millions of years. And guess what? It is entirely possible to see them and enjoy your experience there without standing on them. There's a gift shop, there's restrooms, there's a restaurant. Great place to stop if you're going up and down Highway 1. This is one of 2 places on this list that isn't free. The Clay Cliffs are on private land, and it's requested that you donate $5 per person upon entry. It's worth it. A little bit of a detour off the main highway and you go through some not so flat gravel roads, but I had no idea what we were driving to. I had never seen a photo of them before. Sometimes that's actually kind of nice. Brittany was like, check this out. The color and the height of these cliffs are just absolutely astounding. From the car park, 10-15 minute little walk, get to this little opening, just oval shaped. You're completely surrounded by them. It's good. We haven't spent a whole lot of time down the West Coast, but the limited amount of time that we have spent there, oh my God, wow. Paparoa, Punakaki, Pancake Rocks. We drove up from Greymouth on Highway 6, and I think that the road, the parking area, and the shops that are there, like before you enter the Pancake Rocks area, are just all really nice. There's construction going on, it's about to be even nicer. Might even be done by the time you go there. As soon as you start walking through, you notice immediately like how well kept this trail is, pristine. The first lookout that you see of the Pancake Rocks is just like, holy smokes, what am I even looking at right now? And then each viewpoint from then on out just gets better and better. It just keeps one-upping one another. It's amazing. The Department of Conservation did a really amazing job here, making the traveler and the tourist feel incredibly immersed in this natural wonder. 10 out of 10, might be my favorite spot. As soon as you start driving a little bit on the highway, you'll notice there's lookouts left and right. Bennetts Bluff viewpoint, about 25 minutes drive west of Queenstown. That's got to be one of my favorite lookouts. You park and you take a 4-minute walk up this hill and you're there right in the mountains overlooking Lake Wakatipu, the longest lake in New Zealand. Again, we had a partly cloudy day. The rays of sunshine coming in from up above just made for one of the most beautiful settings I've seen here so far. I think I got my favorite photo here, one of my favorite time lapses. It's just, yep, worth the drive. If you are driving down to the southernmost part of Highway 1 on the South Island, this is probably already on your list, but I still want to shout it out. Because despite our time there being quite busy and full of people all trying to get photos of the sign, if you walk like 5 minutes down the pathway, you'll find this really peaceful beach. Keep walking and then there's this small lighthouse and you can just get a really nice overview of Bluff, take in the small maritime town. Sterling Point is fairly small, but it's really nice. And depending on how much you've traveled throughout the country, there's definitely a sense of achievement when you get down to that southernmost point. Ankle Duvery Corna Wallaby Farm. I doubt I'm saying that right. Back to the East Coast. We're on our way to an All Blacks vs Wallabies game in Dunedin from Christchurch. And truth be told, we'd never seen a wallaby before. We had no idea. I mean, we had some idea of what they look like, but I really didn't know. So to break up the trip, we went down to this farm where you paid $15 per person, you get a big bag of food, and you're free to roam around the loop to different areas where you get to feed all these little wallabies. They are a pest in this country. People hunt them. But spoiler alert, they're a little adorable. We spent over an hour here feeding probably 30 different wallabies, plus a few geese and peacocks. It was fun. $15 per person? Yeah, it was good. Now when you're making your way down the South Island, maybe you start talking to a few travelers, couple of local Kiwis, it's not uncommon to get a tip on where you can find a good pie. A nice, savory meat pie that are just so perfect for road trips. My first pie tip that I ever got was actually in Auckland at the Craft Beer Group from a gentleman by the name of Ashley. He said, if you ever stumble upon the town on the South Island called Fairlie, you have to go to their bakehouse and get a pie. It's one of the best pies I've ever had, one of the best things I've ever eaten in my entire life. It's a must-see. Well, it just so happens if you're going from Christchurch to Mount Cook or anywhere in that direction, Fairlie's right on the way. Ever since he mentioned that, I've actually noticed quite a bit of content on the Fairlie Bakehouse. I don't know if it was a show on cable, maybe it was just a few YouTube videos, but even on the New Zealand Travel Tips Facebook page, a lot of people make the Fairlie Bakehouse a point to stop at on their South Island road trip, so I don't think I can leave it out. It was really good. I've only had one mac and cheese pie in this country. That was at Fairlie Bakehouse. 10 out of 10. Brittany had one of the most popular, pork belly and apple pies. Maybe she just got it on a bad day. Not that it wasn't good, but it just wasn't as good as everyone had hyped it up to be. Who knows? I'll say, yeah, absolutely, worth it, gotta go. I don't give out a lot of pie tips, but this will be my second one. In Blenheim, there's a place called the Burley Gourmet Pies. Great size, jam-packed, unbelievable deliciousness flavor going on in there. That might be one of my top pies here in the whole country. I think I devoured it so quickly. All I had was one photo of the package that it came in. I was at the Clyde Dam making a YouTube video about the New Zealand Small Town Showcase, and this Canadian had showed up from London, Ontario, and we just got to talking. Hey, you're not from here? Yeah, neither are you. Canada, great, whatever. We hugged, we high-fived, we drank a case of beer together just immediately. That's how it works. But he was making his way from Queenstown to Dunedin, and I was like, oh man, I got a really good spot for you if you're interested in a pie. Going that way, he was like, man, I'm so sick of pies. We stood in line for over an hour, 4 days in a row, at Ferg Bakehouse, because it was just so worth it. They were the best pies ever, but now I've just eaten way too much. So that's good to know. I didn't try it myself. Ferg Burger, I really enjoyed it. Ferg Baker, gonna have to give that one a go. But my suggestion to him and my probably #1 place, I gotta go with Jimmy's. In the small town of Roxborough, maybe I'm a little biased because we did spend 4 weeks there. I tried to limit my trips to Jimmy's to twice a week. If you're going between Dunedin and Queenstown, it's an absolutely perfect spot. They've been making pies there for a really long time. They got gourmet, savory, and sweet pies. They were just so delicious. They were so good. Oh my God. To be fair, there's so many bakeries out there that make a really good pie throughout New Zealand. It's just kind of fun seeing which ones are a step ahead. There are so many roadside attractions in New Zealand. And this list probably only scratches the surface. They've just been my personal favorites so far. As you can see, we have not hit up the whole South Island at all. We've seen a good chunk though, I'm not gonna lie. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching. Consider subscribing. We'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.